channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Lily and I am joining you guys today from my living room, and it's not even 8 o'clock, so it's a very early morning so far, and it's been a very, very nice, slow, peaceful morning. I had to go into work a little late today because I do have an appointment early in the morning. And so I took this opportunity to, I let myself wake up naturally. I put myself together. I made my tea at home. I've been playing with my dog, did some freshening up around the house, and just having a nice, slow morning. And so I figured with the time that I have left, I wanted to come on here and put in another video on something that's been very, it's been very present in my heart and on my mind lately as something that I want to share with you guys. And this has been a video that I've been planning ever since I started the channel. But you know, just waiting for the right timing was kind of a priority for me. Gotta take a deep breath. I want to come on here and talk a little bit about my past and my journey as I moved to Iowa and into the Midwest and Midwest lifestyle, because I'm not from around here. I'm actually from the East Coast. I'm from upstate New York in a city called Syracuse, and I spent my whole life in Syracuse. I went to Syracuse University, and pretty much all of my experiences have been shaped by that world. And then once I graduated from college, I decided to move to Boston to be closer to my sister who lived there. She went to Boston College and her husband went to MIT, and they have lived there for almost 10 years. And when I graduated college, she was the one who had the idea to move closer to her and kind of branch out. I lived there for a few years, and I have lots of mixed feelings on my time in the city life. So where I'm from, I went to a private high school, and there was very much a culture around like a life of luxury. And when I moved to Boston, it was basically that world just in an entire city. And that was really difficult for me, because even though like I don't have any personal, grievances against people who are wealthy or, having nice things or traveling or all that kind of stuff, it was a lot of pressure on me personally to keep up with that lifestyle. And also combining that with like the culture of Boston that I was witnessing in like my social circles and stuff was like, I felt like my worth was dictated by the things that I could offer other people. Did I have a boat? Did I have a certain apartment in a certain area? Did I have a certain job? Who was my family? That kind of stuff. And I know that that's not everyone that lives in Boston, but it was something that I was really struggling with, feeling like I was worthless unless I had those things. And then I quickly fell down a very dark hole because of that. And my response to that was to isolate myself and not talk to anyone and just be in my room all the time. And it wasn't me. It wasn't who I am as a person. I'm a very outgoing person. I'm very social. I'm very bubbly. I love to like go shopping and all of that stuff. And I wasn't doing any of that. And to add on to that, the city itself can be very noisy. It can be very, like you hear about like the bustling. It feels like there was just an endless bustling of all of these people and the cars, and, you know, there's animals and there's ambulances, and not only that, like noise-wise and physically, it felt to me like I was being closed in on. Like there was these tall buildings that just surrounded me on all sides. It was like I was like cornered. That's how it was in my mind at the time, because of the way that I was feeling and because of the physical environment that I was in. And so for those that know me in my life beforehand, I have always been a country girl. I wasn't raised in the country, and I wasn't raised in a small town by any means. It was very suburban, but I always had this dream of going out and living in the middle of nowhere. And I loved country music and the Western style and the small town style and fishing and hunting and all of that, like slow ways of life, and the very like classical, traditional, colonial, like all of that stuff that kind of came all before like this whole big boom of city life. And so for me, moving out to Boston, Massachusetts was a very big leap. It was a huge change. It was the opposite direction of everything that I had been interested in up until that point. And so when I was in Boston, I was finding tiny little ways to add that back into my life. Like I would go to Bass Pro Shops. I would drive 45 minutes to the closest Bass Pro on the weekend, and I would just walk around and look at all the stuff and basically daydream. Or I would go fishing in like there is a certain pond in a place called Jamaica Plain, and I would go fishing at that pond, and it wasn't like a fishing pond. It was like there was like a walkway trail around it. People are walking their dogs. People are going for jogs. Like it was not secluded by any means, but I would find like the most secluded part in the trees and in the grass away from other people that I could. And so I would go fishing at this pond or just stuff like that. I would listen to country music nonstop and basically just daydream about, you know, is this what's right for me? And find my little pockets of happiness in the ways that I could. And so I'm not saying that I have anything against city people or the city life or city living. It just was not for me. Like my sister and her husband, they have lived there for a long time and they love Boston. They have found a friend group that they really get along with. They love to travel and go out to eat and see all the different areas around New England, which I do too. But for them, it's very like invigorating. Like it sparks them. For me, it was very draining. Like I felt like it drained my energy rather than like filling my energy. And so sensory-wise, I was burnt out. Energy-wise, I was burnt out. My career that I was working in at the time wasn't super fulfilling. And so I just felt very stuck. Then comes along this beautiful human being from Iowa. And we got along super well. And just from all of the things that he was saying to me and the stories about his life in small town Midwest America, it was like such a dream for me, okay? Growing up in the small town life, like, I would hear so many like hilarious cliches about like being a paper boy and earning a dime a week and saving up your dimes and buying a Beanie Baby. Like, that was the story that like I was hearing, and all of these exciting events with like football games and firemen's fairs and all of the stuff that like I wanted so bad. Sitting on the porch and watching a storm roll in, like, that was what my soul and my heart and my body was craving at this point, because I had been so deprived of that beautiful peace in nature for so long. And so my lease was coming to an end at the end of the summer, and slowly my world in Boston was just crumbling around me. My apartment, my friends, my job, like, it was all just really falling apart. And I was like, you know what? If I am losing everything right now, so to speak, then I have nothing to lose with what I would want to do next. And I considered moving to a couple different places, actually. At first I was like, but I can't leave Boston. But if I were, this is where I would want to go. And then it slowly got like more and more serious, where I was like, wait a minute, like, I can actually do this. And so with the help of this amazing person, I found an apartment and a job in like kind of like the center of Iowa. And one thing led to another, and I was driving across country with my car packed to the brim. And I was starting over a new life in the country where I truly, really belong. And so ever since then, I've been on this path, feeling more and more like myself, feeling more and more just like a breath of fresh air. And if anything, I always say, it's so funny because I love Iowa, and I always say, well, people will say like, oh, you moved from Boston to Iowa? And I'll be like, yeah, I love Iowa. And they'll be like, isn't it like too country? And I'll be like, girl, it's not country enough. Like, it's not rural enough. It's not small town enough. Like, I want to be where there is not a single soul for miles and miles and miles. And I want there to be open air and open fields and the sun on my skin and a clear blue sky. And I just want to be immersed in that lifestyle, because to me, it's so recharging. It's so refreshing. And, you know, all of the pressures of the city life and keeping up with the Joneses and all of that stuff, it's not as prominent. And I've really felt in myself a blossoming since I've moved out to the countryside. And I'm so excited for the next steps in furthering my life in that way. And, you know, I'm really trying hard to live out the life that I have dreamed of having for so long when I was stuck in the city. And not a single day goes by that I am not so grateful for this chance to be able to be where I feel like I truly fit. And like, I'll be driving to work and I'm going over like these rolling hills of cows, and there's like baby calves running while the sun's coming up, and it's just every single day, like, I am so grateful, and not a day goes by where I take it for granted or I don't appreciate it, because this is truly what I have dreamed of for so long, and I feel like I am where I belong. And I'm so excited and so happy to be moving more in that direction. And that's just me and my story. Like, I feel like some people might be the opposite way. Like, maybe they're from Iowa and their dream and where they truly belong is in the city. And, you know, that's great. Go live your truth. But I will never be the one to look down on other lifestyles because it's not the way that I want to live. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys and add a little bit of background as to, you know, my own personal transformation and transition from being a city girl into being a country girl, or small town girl at the very least. And I'm excited to share more about my journey and more about my story if that is something that is of interest to you guys. So definitely let me know if you have any questions or any other topics that you would like me to explore. I'm trying to add more of these like variety of videos. Like, some of them are talking, some of them are a day in my life, some of them are, you know what I mean? Like, and be consistent in like giving that variety. So if there's any ideas that you guys have, just let me know and I would be happy to work it into a video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.